You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sharice Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hello, beautiful soul. It has been a minute if you have been listening up to date. As always, I like to have a break at the end of a season before the start of a new one, because that's how we evolve as humans and as nature, right? So welcome to season 5. Wow. I can't believe, I always say this, can't believe I've done this many episodes. Thank you for listening all this time. But I think what's really beautiful, and I feel like one day I'll be able to look back on these and just listen in on how I've evolved, because this is a beautiful thing about being in this space. When you are someone that teaches this work, personal development, mindset, evolution, soul alchemy, all of those things, when you teach it, you have to live it. There's no other way that you can teach this work unless you embody it yourself. And, I say there's no other way. There are people that don't live like that, but especially with the shift that's happening in the world and astrologically, the people that aren't doing it for the right reasons, they're going to start to fall off soon. So yeah, I don't know if that all makes sense, but basically, when you're in alignment with who you are, what you do, and your purpose, it's inevitable that you're going to grow and keep growing, and then you take people along with you. And I think that this is almost like a documentation of my growth, as well as obviously the nuggets of wisdom and advice I can share to you, and as always in the hopes that it benefits you in the most incredible way. And I feel like it has been, because you're still listening, so that's a really amazing thing for me and you. So let's celebrate each other for that. Snaps. Hope you can hear that. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was to share with you my amazing trip to LA. So it was such a whirlwind experience. I don't know if you've been listening up to date. If you haven't, I basically got the opportunity to go to LA at the last minute to attend a retreat and to also deliver my embodiment session, Soul Alchemy. So I'm alchemizing pain into power through the body, somatic exercises, movement, dance, and also my visualizations, which I'm notoriously known for, as well as my charming energy. Again, you got to own it. And it was just incredible. And is a really key point to this is that there would have been a version of me that would have said no. And in fact, there was a version of me that said no, because when I got offered to attend the retreat in January, I was in a completely different space. So again, if you listened up to date, you'll know that I was in a relationship at that time. And yeah, I guess I was thinking that inevitably 6 months from that point, or sorry, 8 months or 9 months from that point, I was assuming that I'd still be in that relationship, and I might have wanted to go over a partner. But as life had it, that wasn't right for me, and I broke out of that and evolved further. And what's really beautiful is that the summer, as I mentioned previously, had all been about receiving. So I really was taught this year, and especially since the last eclipse, which happened in April, which was when I actually broke up with my ex. So that's a really pivotal moment astrologically and spiritually as well, which is amazing. The universe is supporting me always. And I feel like I knew that as well. So that's why, for me, like when people say to me, "Oh, you're fine," I'm like, yeah, because the universe did its thing. Like, I'm not someone that overly attaches myself to situations and circumstances, because I do believe that the universe is always working for us. And I think that when you are in that space, it makes a world of difference. So from that space, I was able to yeah, just really like expand my horizons. I think that's really what this year has been about for me. And I think what I realized was, even in that relationship, I was playing really small. Like I was, again, because I'd been in that space of just opening up to my femininity as deeply as it had been, that the feminine is all about receiving. As I say, it's being, right? The masculine is all the doing and the giving, which is where I lived and resided for most of my life. So actually receiving things was a challenge. And even down to, I mean, compliments I started to get better at, because over time I was kind of adding that in. But the idea that, you can just have something because you can have something, I couldn't even process that. I couldn't comprehend it. And I've always been one of those people, and I will outrightly say it, that would say, oh, it's all right for them because, or that was easy for them because, not thinking that I also deserve for it to be that easy, and there doesn't have to be a reason for it. I can just have that thing, right? How many of you listening right now say that, like, oh, it's easy for them because, or, oh, of course she can do that because she also gets this for her. Like all of these little things that we're doing, we're undermining someone else's value based on the insecurity that we're projecting from ourselves onto someone else, right? Because we don't feel like we could have that. We are then making it a negative for someone else. That's not fair. And that's a lack mentality thing. And like I said, I openly admit that I used to be like that. And probably even up until this year doing this work. So, I'm like 5 years deep almost into my healing journey space, and I still had that there. And this is a really important thing that I want you to know again about healing, that I always say, is that it's a cycle. So there's going to be some old wounds that come up, some old triggers, some little niggles that come at the back of your mind that just, implant a seed. For example, I say this all the time, but I'm a hangry person. So when I'm hangry and I need to do stuff and I can't get it done, I start to then perpetuate negative mindsets, or like little things that then start to create yeah, like judgment or limiting beliefs, because I'm a human being, right? And I want that to be very clear to you, because I teach this stuff and I live this stuff. And the reason we need that to happen is so that we can solution. What would be the right? I was trying to think of that in a different context, but resolve. That's it. We can resolve problems quicker and easier with a deeper understanding of ourselves. And that is strengthening that muscle, and you need for that to come to the surface so you can release it, but also see yourself develop that skill quicker. Because for me, as I said, that thing can come up, and straight away after I've thought it, I can take that thought away again, because I can see that I did it. I'm like, hey, that's hungry Cherise talking. That's not normal Cherise talking, right? And this is the beautiful thing about self-awareness, because this will fundamentally always be the core of your existence. So when you get those skills to be able to do that for yourself, that is the magic in real life form. So yeah, anyway, I went off on a tangent there, didn't I? I've missed you all. So yeah, the journey for me this summer, this year, I think, was about receiving. So then when the opportunity arose for me to go to LA this time round, I I sat on it. And if I'm honest, I knew I needed to be there. I knew I needed to be there. And I feel like the last episode that I recorded, I spoke about how I got the flight at a really good price. And yeah, that was all down to me trusting that I needed to be there. Now, the retreat was held by my previous mentor that I had last year. So right at the start of me deciding I wanted to start a business, that was my mentor. And I worked with her as a one-to-one client for 6 months, and then carried on in her mastermind container for the rest of the year. So a year in total that I worked with her. And we have such a beautiful relationship, deep level of respect. We both understand each other's values. It's just all of the amazing things you could ask for. And what was really wonderful is that when someone dropped out, the moment I messaged her, she was like, the space is yours. So I hadn't even put that money down yet, but because I told her I was going to be there, she believed me. And that amplified the manifestation power for me to be able to call that flight in. Now, the flights at the time were like £1,500. And that is well more than they should be for LA at any time of the year, right? But I was adamant I was supposed to be there. So I was actively looking for reasonable flights. I contacted everyone I knew that worked in travel. I just really went into my trusting and knowing, but equally was trying to find solutions, right? And that's the aligned action, because if I sat too much in my feminine, I'd be like, oh, it will just come to me. And if I went too much in my masculine, I'd be stressing myself out over it. I'd be looking at all the details. I'd be going every single day looking. And I know in travel, or when you're booking something, and this is for anyone that wants to book something, by the way, the cheapest days to book a flight are to fly on a Tuesday or a Saturday, and the cheapest day to book a flight is a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I don't know why that is, it just is, but I'm aware of that. So I wasn't going to look every single day, because then the cookies on my laptop would have made the flights more expensive, because it knows you're looking, right? This is the thing with technology. So yeah, I just kind of sat on it, and then yeah, I was looking, being conscious. I then got, my sisters have a look for me as well, because, her looking on her phone would have made a difference. And I managed to get that flight. I think I paid £424. That's also an angel number, by the way, just saying. So yeah, I was like, it's a sign, I'm supposed to be there. And then the moment that I did book the flight, everything as a result of that has been easy, and I think that that's when you know that you're in absolute alignment with something, because before you do the thing, it feels like everything is falling apart. And actually, funny enough, I notice in my series, like when I record these series, that at the start of when I record is a new season for me in my life. So I'm evolving every time I record with you, and I almost take you on a journey. So then by the end of the season, I've also shedded that old version of me. So again, this is why this is such a cathartic practice for me. And I'm really grateful that you're here to listen. And I know that you're taking something away from it each time. But it's really lovely that I can see that for myself as well. So at the end of last season, I was really processing the fact that I was taking a big jump, investing this money to go away when I could have put that money to something else, and or didn't really feel like I had it available and spare. And it's important that I share that with you, because even in my work that I do now, a lot of the women that come into my space that, either listen to my podcast or, absorb my content, which is all there, all for free. There is only so much that my free content will get until the investment of my, one-to-one spaces becomes available to you. And I think we all say, oh, I don't have the money for it, because it doesn't seem like it's there. But if you trust with every part of you that you deserve more, that you are worth that jump, and that you are ready to go all in to create the transformation in your life, the universe will help you find it. And that's exactly what happened to me for that trip. I was like, oh, okay, yes, I see. And even just being on the trip and just trusting myself, like I said, everything just aligned in the most beautiful way. And I can't even explain to you in words what that trip did for me. And going there as a mentor, as this version of myself, oh, it was such a beautiful experience. And, I'm not going to lie to you, I flew with American Airlines. Now, I'm a Virgin person, like I flew with a Virgin all the time to the US. And I say all the time because I think some of you know I wanted to move there to live as a dancer. So I've been out to LA quite a few times, and I've got family in Vegas and stuff. So, I've flown quite frequently there. So the movies weren't as good, but I always tailor my time on the flight, because it's 11 hours to the time zone. So I know how long I can sleep for. That's the Capricorn moon, by the way. That's where I get analytical. I actually started to write some of my book, and I actually wanted to write more of my book. But what was really important is that I was present, and I was the whole way. And yeah, the flight felt easy. I mean, as soon as I landed, everything just flowed in such a beautiful way. And like even though my flight was an hour late, I got to the mansion, and I say mansion because it was our mansion. Like if you're a 90s baby, you will know MTV Cribs, and it was literally an MTV crib. Like I can't even explain to you how stunning it was. You have to go to my social media and look at my photos, because there is no other way to explain how incredible this place was. And what's more amazing is that when I see my visualizations, I see myself in spaces like that, right? So to actually be in your manifestation in real life, I mean, you'll know if you've manifested anything like a holiday, a new car, anything you've manifested and it's come into tangible form, it is just a heaven sent moment. Like I can imagine angels going, "Ah," for me. I know that's picture, sorry, I'm apologize. I'm not warmed up. But you know what I mean? It's that moment that you can't put into words. And I literally arrived on the day of the full moon. And I did my release ceremony the night before. By the way, I got the train to the airport from Kent and it was easy. It was so easy. I was like, oh my gosh, universe, you are blessing me a millionfold. And again, because I did jump all in, the universe is like, sis, we got you. Come on, come through. This is you. This is you. And it was just so easy. And yeah, anyway, I go backwards, come forwards. When I got there to the mansion, had half an hour to get showered ready and for the meal. And when we had our meal, it was on Malibu Pier, and the moon was eclipsing in the middle of the ocean. The ocean waves were crashing into the shore, creating that beautiful wave noise, and we got to eat dinner staring at the moon. I mean, tell me that's not my most perfect evening without telling me that's not my most perfect evening. Like, I could have cried with how blissful that moment was, to soak in that moon energy. It was just glorious. And even down to like, I had the whole ground floor, like the basement floor of the mansion, which again, you know, whole floor, lovely. You know, my room in the mansion was like bigger than my whole downstairs in my house, by the way. And the moonlight was through my window and I got to put my crystals out on the windowsill. Yes, I traveled my crystals. I am that girl. Um, and soak it up, and I made some moon water and it was just magical. And I'm really lucky because I didn't really struggle with the jet lag. I think again because I'd sort of, maybe I don't know if my body's used to it, maybe I'm just a travel soul at heart, that yeah, I just slept through the night and then I got up, and then one of the other ladies in the villa, she was the mansion, she was in the hot tub, so you know, made a tea, got in the hot tub. Can you talk about a more beautiful morning, please? And the sunrise, oh my gosh, like it was just bliss. Like, and you know what? I don't want to say this to you to be gloating because I'm like, look at me. I'm saying it because this is a wish fulfillment. And what's really beautiful is I want you to know that if this is possible for me, it is 1,000,000% possible for you. So, what is that big, audacious dream that you have? Or maybe it's a destination in the world you want to get to, or maybe it's a new car that you didn't think would be possible for you in like a 3D reality, but actually in your manifestations, you see yourself in it. Believe it and trust it, because I promise you, the universe will move mountains for you to be there. It will. And what else is important is to listen to the cues, because at any point, I could have said no to going on that trip. So I could have said no when my mentor messaged me about it again because I was thinking, oh, financially, can I make this work? I could have said no when the flights were coming up at £1,500. I could have even said no, well, just before that, you know, just been like, no, I'm not going to go away this year. Do you know what I mean? I could have set myself those things and believed them, but I chose to see more. I chose to say, okay, universe, show me. And that's the most beautiful thing, because when you say it to the universe, it's like, okay, we'll show you why you should do this thing then. And what I want you to know is that you can do that with both scenarios. You can say, show me why this isn't right for me, and or show me why this is right for me. It's up to you. And everything comes down to your code and your beliefs. So if you believe you're worthy of something and you ask the universe to show you more of you being worthy, it will. And if you think that you are unworthy and you ask the universe to show you that, it will show you more of you being unworthy. So it's so important how you use your belief system. And, you know, use it for good. Use it to dream big. Use it to step into that next level version of yourself, because that's what you truly deserve, you know? And I was so blessed to be in a space with so many soul aligned women. Like, I cannot even tell you the beauty of the space that we held for each other. And combination of spiritual women and business women all combined in that space. We were just all there because we betted on ourselves, you know. We just trusted that we deserved this trip, whatever it was going to look like, whatever's going to come. And we just held the space for beautiful conversations and deep healing, you know. As I said, I got to deliver my session, like the body alchemy stuff, you know, like, so really transmuting some pain into power. And I did that after we'd had the breathwork session with Jessie Lute. Now, Jessie's been on my podcast before, and if you are in the Kingston, Surrey area, you have to go to one of her classes, because that woman is an angel. I I just kept telling her, I was like, you are an angel. She just honestly, that breathwork session was so beautiful. And I have never done a breathwork session where I've laughed, and it was so beautiful. Honestly, please just look her up. If you're interested in breathwork, you live in Surrey, look her up, okay? And actually, she might even do some, I think she's actually doing a mastermind and online stuff. So if breathwork is your thing, check her out, okay? um but yeah, that was just lovely. And then Sarah, who did the socials, she's amazing. I think I'm actually going to work with her in the future, so you'll probably see more of her and hear more about me speaking about her as well. And then just these other ladies that I'd never even met before, and they were there. And obviously Rebecca, because it was her retreat. And again, Rebecca is in season 1 of my podcast, because yeah, she was my mentor last year when I started all of this stuff, so we can thank her for my success, okay? Well, and thank me, obviously, because I'm doing the thing. I did a hair flick at the same time, and I'm just creasing up myself. Um, and this is what's funny, I think, because when you start something new, you feel like you are building something or stepping into this new space, and you want people to see you the way that you are, right? This trip was a flip of that. And it was me just being me and being respected, being the vibe and being received as the vibe, just through me being who I am. And that's always my like ethos has been, I'm going to show up like this and have this conversation like I do on my podcast or in my teaching or with my one-to-one sessions in real life, because that is just who I am. And this is where you know that you're in the right spaces in your life, when you just get to be you and be received, respected, and appreciated and valued. And that was all of the beautiful energy that we're all able to give each other. So I think for me, that was like my biggest takeaway. And secondly, like I said, that expansiveness. I think for me to actually see in tangible form what is possible for me and how easy it does get to be, because we all are, you know, at fault here, where we think that if we keep doing this thing, keep working hard, we keep pushing through, that the outcome will be what we want it to be. But it does get to be easy, and it doesn't have to be that. And I think I get so caught up in, sometimes, I say sometimes, when I'm burnt out, especially, I get caught in the little details. And just before I went away, I was burnt out, and I can see that for myself. And the trip allowed me to just look at my whole life in a different perspective. And again, like, I was physically zooming out from the current reality that I have. And just going there to LA, going to spaces that I've been to a million times over, and it feeling different, really was that two world situation, because it felt familiar and different at the same time. And it's so beautiful. And I've got this stunning ring that I'm wearing now. And I want to talk about this ring, because this ring is a symbol of my growth, my dedication to myself, and also just because I deserve it. And I think when I went to Glastonbury, I wanted a crystal ring. So I don't know. I mean, I say I don't know if you know. You all know, because I'm into crystals. That I wear bracelets for different properties. So I've got one that is I want to say lapsidized or lapses. I don't know how you say it, but it's purple. It's not amethyst, and it's for ease. One of my best friends bought me that. I've got carnelian for inner power activation, because that's my title. And then I've got tiger's eye, citrine, and aquamarine for abundance and protection. Now I wear that on my left hand, because the left is to receive, and then the right hand is to give out. And the ring is Hermir diamond, it's called, but it's basically like a clear quartz. So it's about connecting you to your alignment and clarity. And then there's aquamarine on that ring as well. And when I saw it in the shop, it was just, yeah, I was really taken back by it, and I sat on it. And when I tried it on this shop and then I walked away, I was like, I knew I needed to get that. I just knew that that was my right ring, right? And this is actually 2 sizes too big, but this ring spoke to me. I'm woo woo, I'm going to say weird stuff. And yeah, just every day I look at it, I'm just like, yeah, this was that chapter. But the moral of the story was, this little spiritual cove in Venice Beach had always been there. I just never saw it. And that's the beauty of when you, one, become self-aware and aware of your surroundings, but two, when you're ready, the space will appear, right? And it's the same with the student, when the student's ready, the master will appear, right? That's the same thing. So I like to say that to, women that come into my space that have never met me before. I'm like, there's a reason you've met me now at this time in your life, because it's just that little reminder. And whether it is because you're just listening to my podcast, or you're thinking, actually, do you know what? This is exactly what I need right now. This is all of this, like the universal alignment, always like aligning you with that space. And, what was really wonderful for me was that having that beautiful experience in the mansion and then going down to Venice Beach, which is somewhere that I just adore. Like, that is literally my favorite space in LA for sure. I do like downtown LA, to be honest, but what is a really profound thing about LA in general is that it is the land of the free, it is the land of the dreamers, but it's also the land of the broken dreams. So I think when I was there, I was on a high from the mansion and soaking in that energy with the beautiful women that held the space for each other, and like stunning meals, the moon, everything was lovely. Then going to Venice for my last night, which was solo, by the way, which I needed to just anchor in everything I learned, spend that time with me, which I love, as always. And I'm just, soaking in everything. So I'm just aware and just observing, and it's just beautiful. And I did so much walking. I did a faux pas. This is where probably a little slight bit of toxic masculine came in, just a little, but also taking it in, right? I did 22,500 steps that day, and that was the day I was coming home. So I walked all the way from Santa Monica Pier to Venice Beach, and then Venice Beach back to Santa Monica, and then I got an Uber to the airport. But I should have really got an Uber from Santa Monica to Venice, but I was like, oh, it's only, just over half an hour. Why not? Because I wanted to take it in, and I was glad that I did, because I didn't really do any exercise when I was in the mansion, because I didn't want to, like exercise has been such a big part of my life that I actually felt like rest was more important. And I think that when you know yourself that well, right? I've been an athlete my whole life as a professional dancer, that I really understand my body. So feeling like that little bit of a crossover of the jet laggy kind of feels. And I say I didn't really feel the jet lag because I didn't really have it on the way there. It was more on the way when I got home. That first 2 days, I definitely felt it then. But I move my body all the time. Like every day I will do some form of movement, even on a day where I'm not actually moving, I'll be still pottering around and stuff. um so yeah, I just really honored that for myself. So I knew that last day, I thought I need to get some steps in today, and I did yoga in the morning and then that. So it was a lot. But I can't remember what I was going to say about my point here, but basically yeah, the people, I had some really weird conversations with people, and I feel like that was a real reality check for me. This is it, because um this is why I didn't want to move to LA. Okay. So, like obviously I wanted to move there as a dancer, and then coming back, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel at home here. It felt like home. But I equally felt at home when I went to Glastonbury. So I know that home is wherever I am, because I am my home. I've created this safety inside of myself that allows me to go anywhere and just know that I'm safe. I'm okay. I got me. And that's just even when I say that out loud, I feel just this overwhelming sense of peace in my body. Just it's a knowing, and it's so wonderful. And I just, if you're, when you say that to yourself that you can't say those words, that's just a sign that the work needs to be done. And the only way I created that safety for myself was through releasing out the things I no longer needed or no longer served me. Because when we are holding on to toxicity, old wounds, trauma, hardships, it's almost like I'm trying to, what the visualization that I can see here is almost like a silk pocket, like you get those little silk little bags, and you're like filling it up with loads of stones. That's what it feels like to hold the weight of your trauma and responsibilities. Whereas when you can let all of that go, stone by stone, brick by brick, when you let all of that go, what comes inside is like sand or glitter. And it's just like it's full, but it can tie up still, and or maybe it's just a ever flowing valve that opens and closes. That's what it feels like to go home inside yourself, like this beautiful flowing energy. And yeah, I just met some really strange people, and it was just that reminder that okay, this is why we don't want to live here. And actually, I'd love to keep going back, love to keep delivering workshops and things like that internationally, especially in LA. That would be lovely. And even just connecting with like the right people, like Malibu felt like a really breath of fresh air, felt like people were definitely more connected spiritually as well, which was lovely. Then going to Venice and like Santa Monica and seeing how the sort of corruption of Hollywood was there, it was a bit like, oh, yeah. I ended up having a bit of a debate with this guy in a bar. No, I didn't have an alcoholic drink. Not that that matters or not, because you're allowed to have an alcoholic drink, but I just was aware that I was on my own, and I was traveling the next day, etc., etc. Um, and yeah, we ended up having a conversation, and we ended up having a debate about science versus spirituality. And he was so narrow-minded that he could not even see, or not even want to see, that there would be another option here. He just believed that he was right and that I was wrong. And I said to him, this is a real sign of you as a person and when you're at a near evolution, because what I know to be true is the opposite of what I know is also true. So I believe that you are right for you, but I equally know that I'm right for me and my community of people that are into this work. And he couldn't have any of it. And I just literally said to him, you know what? That's you. That's you. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. It's down to you to do that research to see otherwise if you don't believe me. Um, and at the end of that conversation, I was getting ready to go, and he said, "You know what?" He was like, "I really respect you." He was like, "Thank you for a deep and open debate, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to, or wouldn't hold their own like you did." And I was like, he don't know about the double Leo. Can't tell him that though, can I? Because he don't believe in it. Funny. But again, this is just me. And what I was aware of in that conversation is that I don't want to push myself into my masculine. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just agree to disagree with you, and then yeah, move on. And I'm really glad I did that, because I felt quite empowered by the end of it. I was like, yeah, that wasn't the energy that I needed. But it wasn't a bad conversation. It was just a reminder of like, okay, like this isn't just all fluffy and stardust here. It is still, there's reality to it. But I did feel safe, as I said. So that was really nice. And yeah, spoke to a group of women that were like having troubles in relationships. And obviously, because I've had so many dating experts on here, got the answers, haven't I? But also, I know women really well and people really well. So I know body language and the way they're saying things. And that's just, yeah, just it was a real test to like where I've come and who I've become, and yeah, just everything I've learned and been learning. It's a beautiful thing. I think even Stephen Bartlett says about his podcast, like as in like he gets guests on for his own game, because it is about what you're learning as you do this, and it really is that. And I'm really grateful for that. And I know that those of you listening, you've also had takeaways from everyone I've had on. So yeah, just a really beautiful thing. I feel like I am rambling here, but I feel like this is a brain dump of LA, and it's just really nice to share it with you, because I feel like there'll be little things that resonate that you're like, oh, yeah, that resonates, because I'm going through this in my life that is kind of similar. But yeah, generally, I think that's really the update, to be honest. Like, it was about diving all in. It was about saying, yeah, this looks like it doesn't work, but what if it does? Or how can I make this work? How am I supposed to be there? And, more than anything, what I want you to know is trust your intuition and your gut, because when you do, something really magical happens. Like that fear that you have, that resentfulness that you have, that anxiety that you have disappears instantly, because your body and your soul is like, she's listening. She's listening now. And that is exactly what it is. Even if it feels out of reach, just take one step in the direction that you need to be in. For example, when Rebecca mentioned to the retreat to me, instantly I went on Skyscanner and started looking at flights. Instantly, I was like, I'm going to see if I can make this work. And when the flights come up expensive, I did message some air hostess that I knew about staff travel. I was like, who have I got? Who do I know that might be able to get me on a flight? And the universe saw that and rewarded me for it, right? And then the trip itself, it just couldn't have gone any better. I just literally could. It was a whole movie. And before I went, if I'd known that it would feel like that when I was going, I would have paid £1,500, to be honest. I would have found that money, and I would have paid £1,500 if I knew that this would have been the outcome. But because I knew what I wanted to spend on a flight and I trusted that I could find it, I did. So it is all about your capacity to receive and to feel worthy enough to receive. That's just it, period. And also having a chat with my mentor off the back of this sort of conversation. And we were saying about how people, make obstacles instead of finding the solutions. And I've seen it so many times this week as well, being here in the UK. I've had some meetings today and even conversations that I have with people every day and in my clients even, that we will quickly find an obstacle instead of saying, oh, that probably is a good solution, Like if I suggest something like, oh, well, what if you tried it this way? Straight away, our immediate reaction is to go, oh, no, 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 I can't do that because of this. You're putting an obstacle in your way. Whereas when we heal and we start to feel worthy and deserving of an easier option or a different way of doing things, instead of saying, oh, no, 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 you're like, oh, I never thought about it like that. That's a really good idea. Thank you. There you go. Easy, right? Now, I want you to think about that for yourself in your own life and think about how many times you've done that for yourself where you have made an obstacle out of something. Because that's essentially what this was for me. It was the universe saying, what about LA? And I was like, oh, what about LA? And then just lent into that, right? But I could have done the opposite. I could have missed out on an incredible opportunity. And that's why I want you to know and think about in your life, where have you blocked your own blessings? Where have you stood in the way of opportunity? Because people want to help you and the universe wants to help you. But unless you feel worthy and deserving of everything that you want and more, you won't receive it. Your blessings will just go over your head and onto the next person because you are telling the universe that you are not worthy of it. You are making yourself small so those blessings go over you instead of through you and to you, right? This is what's so important. And this is why my work is so important, because I am allowing you to cut ties with all those old versions of you, to release those limiting beliefs, the trauma, the things that have held you back for so long, so you can then feed your worth to feel worthy and deserving. That is the 4-point formula, right? It's to understand why you went through what you did, to accept it, to be like, okay, yeah, that wasn't my responsibility. I understand why. I get it. And I accept that that did happen to me. Then you let it go. You absolutely let that go for good. So out of your mind, body, and soul. And then from there, you rebuild. That's the self-worth. That's the part that allows you to receive the abundance you deserve. And once you get that formula down in your mind, body, and soul, let me tell you, you're going to go through that cycle over and over again in your life. But guess what? You've got the tools. You have got the tools to combat and make it through anything that comes your way. So, with that being said, I am currently offering a one-off 90-minute session for £222 for a 90-minute session. So if you do want one, I would love for you to drop me a DM on my socials. I'll pop the link in the show notes because I won't be offering this all the time. And really, this session is solely to show you where your blocks are and to give you some guidance on how you're going to get out of it, and a little snippet into how I work, because my 6-month container is for this work. It's the deep transformation. It's showing you where you're at right now, how you release those blocks, accepting, understanding what you went through to then rebuild that solid foundation to call in your manifestation, dreams, aspirations, and all the things so you can have that, right? You have been playing small your whole life. You have made yourself small, or you've forced yourself in rooms that you didn't actually want to be in. You've lived life by other people's expectations and the way that you were supposed to be a good girl, right? You've proved yourself over and over again of being hard work, determined, over and achieving. But what if it got to be easy? Can you just imagine just waking up every day, just feeling that overwhelming sense of peace? To not feel like you've got a million things on your list, but to just be like, I get to do me today. Like going to a job or somewhere that you just love to be because the energy feels right, being valued and appreciated in every single room that you go in, you know, just knowing that your vibe alone brings other people's vibe up, right? Knowing that anything that you touch or anything your name is on, people are like, oh my God, I need to go because she's going to be there. that is the life that you deserve to have. And as a byproduct of being that person, you then get to receive incredible opportunities, trips, holidays, promotions, whatever it is that you can dream of, relationships, especially because your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And yes, I'm going to be honest with you. I've spent the last few months single because I wanted to be. I could have 100% jumped into something else if I wanted to, but I'm so glad I didn't, because now I'm more ready than I've ever been for someone else. And actually, maybe I've still got a little bit of waiting to do. And that's also okay, because I just trust that the woman that I'm dedicated to becoming every single day is receiving deeply, does know her worth, and knows that someone will match that as a result. And that feels really beautiful to be in that space. I'm not in a rush. I don't need to try to do anything. And that's been a real full circle moment for me to see myself, to say, I don't need to try anymore. I already am. And I would love for you to feel the same. So if you're resonating with this and you're listening thinking, yeah, absolutely that. So I'm sending you lots of love and light, and yeah, I'm here for you. I see you, I understand you, and I want you to know that you are worthy and deserving of so much more. So yeah, if you want to have a chat, drop me a DM. And yeah, till next time, I've got some really exciting guests coming up, new friends that I've made in the business world. I say in the business world, it's not business related necessarily. I've got some really cool people that I'm connecting with, and yeah, excited to share their stories and insight with you, because that's what this is all about. Stories of overcoming obstacles to reach self-empowerment, and whatever that looks like for everyone. So yes, have an incredible week. I'm happy to be back. And yeah, chat soon.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.